It's been close to 4 weeks, 27 days and still counting since the end of the House of Representatives probe into oil subsidy management. We had to see the report or the outcome of the probe. Is this another talk shop for lawmakers, or are we looking at a probe with a difference? To answer these questions and more, we're being joined on the news at 10 by Chairman of the House Committee probing the management of fuel subsidy, Honourable Farouk Lawan. You're welcome to the news at 10. Well, let's begin
Thank you very much.
Right. Let's begin with today's session at the House of Representatives. It was a rather rowdy session over whether to invite the CBN governor to answer questions on the donations made to the Madala blast victims and the Kano bomb victims. But we did see you walk out of that session eventually. Okay, I suppose you're having trouble hearing me, but we'd like to get your reaction on the House of Representatives rowdy session today over invitation to the CBN Governor Lamido Sanusi to answer questions on donations made to victims of the Kano blast.
Well, I mean, given my many years of experience in the House of Representatives, obviously what happened today is not exactly a major event. I think Nigerians have seen even more serious rowdy sessions in the past, especially in the Sixth Assembly. Now, what happened today essentially was some members of the House who protested because they felt that they were not given the opportunity to air their own views, especially because they hold the view that the motion that was presented of the House needed to be opposed. And normally the procedure is that about the same time is allotted to those who support any motion that comes to the floor of the House of Representatives, and an equal amount of time is given to those who are opposed to that motion. And the members who protested felt that there was a considerable long period of time given to those who supported the motion, whereas those who were opposed to it didn't get enough time, and that was why they protested. But I believe we have gone beyond that. The Speaker gave the opportunity to one of the members to raise his point of order, and the matter was amicably resolved.
Mr. Lawan, you know many Nigerians are very anxious about the House of Representatives probe into the management of fuel subsidy. It's been weeks now since that probe ended. A lot of people are really expecting to see the report of the probe eventually. What do you make of the NLC comments, recent comments, doubts over whether the reports will be released or that you're under pressure not to release them?
Well, first of all, I acknowledge the anxiety, the apprehensions, and the concern by many Nigerians as to the need for us to expeditiously conclude this exercise so that we can present our report on the floor of the House of Representatives. We are not unaware of the concern and the interest that Nigerians have, especially on the issue of subsidy. Subsidy is something that affects every single one of us, as people in this country. And so it is only expected that naturally we would have a lot of interest in what goes on, especially with the nature of the probe and the very startling and sometimes very alarming and shocking revelations that came out of the public hearing. So obviously there would be a lot of anxiety, a lot of concern, a lot of expectation. And I believe that what the NLC, the statement from the NLC, simply underscores this anxiety and the concern by the Nigerian public that we need to, as quickly as possible, bring out a report. But let's not forget that in the course of the 3 weeks that we had that public hearing, we received a lot of presentations from a lot of companies. Almost all the companies that participated in the petroleum subsidy scheme were invited. They made presentations. We requested them to provide us with documents. Such
and you got all the documents you requested?
The certificate of discharge, the bill of ladings, and so almost all the regulatory agencies, associated with the oil sector equally appeared before us, and they made presentations and presented a lot of documents as well. We also collected documents from the Central Bank of Nigeria, from the Budget Office, from the Ministry of Finance, from the Accountant General of the Federation, from so many quarters. Now, what that means is that we have a lot of work to do. Since the end of that public hearing, we have been working tirelessly to sift through this relevant documents so that what we would present to Nigerians would be factual. We have made a commitment to Nigerians that whatever we are going to present would be guided by the facts before us, and it will be based on our ability to interpret those facts. Now, if we become hasty and simply present a report, I think we will not be doing justice to the Nigerian people. We will not be fair to the House of Representatives that mandated us to discharge this responsibility. And I believe we would also, in the end, not provide the kind of answers that Nigerians expect us to provide.
Mr. Lawan, sorry to cut you short, but you'd said recently that it would take about 3 weeks to release the report.
Yes, what I said is that at the end of the public hearing, I said, because the House never gave us any specific time to do this exercise, so what we promised was that we would work as tirelessly as possible and expeditiously as possible so that this report can be presented on the floor of the House of Representatives. And I can assure you that we are doing that. Today, I had to take the press corps in the National Assembly to our secretariat so that they can see for themselves the kind of work that is involved. We have tons and tons of documents that need to be gone through, because in the end, what we are trying to do is to ensure that nobody who has committed any act of malfeasance, gets away with that act. But we will also make sure that the honest, innocent people involved in this are not unduly indicted simply because we are in a haste to present a report to Nigerians. We made it very clear that there would be no sacred cows in this exercise, that nothing would be swept under the carpet, and that anybody who has committed any act that needs to be brought to book would be brought to book. But it needs meticulous, time-consuming, and very efficient work for us to discharge this. And that's the stage we are in. And I want to plead with Nigerians to please exercise a little patience. Hopefully within the next 2 weeks, I believe we should be able to get our report out. But let's not, in the haste to simply release a report out there, end up maybe hurting reputations or destroying people or letting people who have committed one act of malfeasance or the other get away with that. We are working very strenuously, and we believe that the report that we are going to present will meet the expectations of Nigerians.
Well, so if the report is adopted and it's approved, then what's the next step? I know you're not obliged to go ahead and carry out the recommendations that you're making on the reports, but what happens after that?
Well, obviously the most important responsibility for us at this stage as a subcommittee is to ensure that we do a thorough job. And in the manner we handle the public hearing, I believe that Nigerians are confident that we intend to do a thorough work. Otherwise, we wouldn't have gone through to the extent that we went through to do a public hearing, and a public hearing that left nobody in any doubt that we made business as far as this issue is concerned. Now, our work essentially is an ad hoc committee, is to complete the exercise, present a report on the floor of the House of Representatives, and I'm absolutely confident that the House of Representatives would adopt most of the recommendations that we will present. Now, the recommendation that will come out of this exercise would have to be implemented. Those that need to be implemented through the legislation, I believe, would be implemented, because both the House and the Senate have clearly indicated that it cannot continue to be business as usual. So obviously they would have no reason not to carry out those legislative actions necessary for whatever needs to be done. Now, there may be recommendations that would be referred to the executive, and I also believe that given the interest Nigerians have shown in this exercise, given the apparent commitment by the executive to equally move away from the existing practice, especially given the fact that the President himself had to direct the EFCC to investigate the issue of subsidy. I would come to believe that the executive will also have no reason not to implement our recommendations. So as a subcommittee, our major responsibility is to complete the exercise.
Okay, Mr. Lawan, thank you so much for really explaining this to us.
And I believe moving forward, it will be the responsibility of the relevant arm of government, the relevant agencies, as well as Nigerian people to ensure
I really have to interrupt you here.
Investigation is implemented.
Mr. Lawan, I really have to interrupt you here to ask. I know you said you want the House to do a thorough job on the reports and bring out something the Nigerians will really appreciate. But considering that you had mentioned that in 3 weeks the reports will be ready, can we hold you by your words?
Well, I believe so. You can do that. The only let me give you one very quick example. For instance, at the end of the exercise, we discovered that there were a lot of information, a lot of documents that we needed, which had not come in. So we had to pursue those documents. For instance, we needed to establish whether the vessels, the mother vessels and the daughter vessels that purportedly lifted products into Nigeria actually came in. So we had to contact some of the international traders. We had to contact Lloyd's register list in London to obtain the relevant document that would establish that these vessels actually came into Nigeria or not. So all that, constituted part of the delay. And don't also forget that in the course of this exercise, there were so many conflicting information. Virtually no agency gave us any reliable information on any single issue. So to establish the correct information, you virtually have to go through all the documents of
Mr. Lawan, thank you so much. I do wish we had more time to discuss this.
And I would assure you that hopefully within the next 2 weeks, we should be able to have a report ready and presented on the floor of the House of Representatives.
Okay.